Hey guys, welcome to another Cobra Kai video, where I'll be doing an analysis on Kwon in Season 6 of Part 1 so far. Kwon is definitely an intriguing new character in the show, but some might argue that the hype around him is a little too much, so it has also sparked some debate among fans surrounding his character. I will also be going into depth about certain topics surrounding Kwon, like his background, traits, comparison, villain role, whether he is overrated, and predictions going into Part 2. Make sure to stick around until the end, as there are a bunch of things to unpack surrounding his character. So just a little background before I begin. Kwon's first appearance is in Season 6, Episode 3, titled Sleeper, where he comes across as cocky and disrespectful and disobeying. This is clear when the Cobras were doing Kim Da-eun's training on the Viper attack, where he just goes straight for the board without doing any moves before that, which is what they were supposed to do in the beginning. And then when Sensei Kreese tells them about Johnny Lawrence and how he lost because he had too much heart, Kwon interrupts his lesson to suggest killing their heart with a strong kick to ribs. Then Kreese forced the Cobra Kais to carry up heavy packs and some sort of punishment, and specifically mentions that Kwon is the one responsible for this punishment, which provokes Yoon to push Kwon down the stairs. Kwon then confronts Kreese about getting the students angry at him, to which Kreese tells him about his potential in the Saikai Taikai, then suggests he gives his anger purpose by showing Yoon and the others who is the best. Then we see Kwon fight Yoon and two other Cobras and manages to defeat them in quite the fashion. Kwon also steals the emblem that was on Yoon's gi to show that he was the best student. And then we don't see Kwon for the rest of Part 1 except for the very end of Episode 5, where he arrives with Yoon and Chung-hee looking very badass to represent Cobra Kai at the Saikai Taikai. The character traits that are clearly visible when looking into a character like Kwon is his attitude. His attitude is a big part of who he is as a person and is demonstrated well throughout Part 1. I think Kwon having this attitude makes him more fearful to his opponents because he is giving off a not giving a shit attitude that I really like about his character. We can also see that he is disrespectful, which I also like because it shows that he actually thinks for himself and doesn't really like getting bossed around by anyone. He doesn't get intimidated very easily, even when Kreese going very close to him and telling him, "Perhaps I need to show you how serious I am." He doesn't seem that fazed by it. He also is the definition of no mercy, as he demonstrated with Yoon, like punching him in the freaking throat, as well as comments like killing opponents' hearts and no head, no fight. I also think he is fearless and has a lot of self-confidence, as he doesn't seem scared when he fought Yoon and the other Cobras, which could have possibly been initiated by Kreese, and Kreese tells him to give his anger purpose. He also didn't get sad or scared when he got pushed down the stairs by Yoon. Instead, he acted enraged, showing that the emotion he primarily has is anger. Kwon is quite similar to characters like Hawk and Robbie, but to a more extreme degree. Kwon has Hawk's rage when he was in Cobra Kai, but I feel like Hawk had more mercy because after he broke Demetri's arm, he showed some sense of remorse there, which then obviously led to him switching to Miyagi-Do in the end. Kwon has Robbie's ability to defeat enemies in large groups, as we have seen with Robbie multiple times, like the prison, the mall fight, and the Cobra Kai dojo fight, where he took on all of the Cobras using Miyagi-Do. He definitely does have a bit of combination of characters in the show, so they are similar in a lot of ways. Like I said before, I think he is pushing the philosophy of no mercy, like comparing to how Johnny Lawrence was in the original Karate Kid movies. Kwon is definitely more ruthless toward people than Johnny, because Johnny does feel a bit of remorse when it comes to what he did to Daniel in the past, whereas Kwon couldn't care less about what he did to people. I feel like Kwon has more of the mindset of no mercy with Terry Silver and John Kreese, who have shown an extreme degree of no mercy. For example, when Terry Silver slices Chosen's back with no remorse, and when John Kreese quite literally killed his captain while he was in Vietnam, as well as a whole list of things he has done, but I'm not going to go into that or this video will be hours long. But that was probably his worst thing he has done so far, because he essentially killed a person. Even though he had to kill him or he would have been killed, it still was a pretty horrible thing to do, as the captain was begging to be let up, which he responded by kicking his hands off the edge of the bridge into the pit of Cobras. Kwon is the perfect villain that the show needs, because he is extremely unique and different from all the other students we've seen. He takes the lessons from Cobra Kai to heart more than any other kid on the show before, and feels the need for people to earn his respect. He does what feels right to him and listens to himself more than anyone. He is himself, and he comes across as iconic, partly because of the hairstyle that he has, which makes him look actually evil and menacing. Keep in mind though, when I say that he is the perfect villain, this doesn't automatically make him the best fighter in the history of the show. While analyzing all of these things about Kwon, I must admit, he is a little overrated. Yes, he is ruthless and all of these amazing things, but just because he manages to do an insane kick and fight the Cobras with ease, does not mean that he is the best out of everyone in the show. I think the reason why he is a bit overrated is that we've seen peak Kwon this season, but we haven't really seen the Miyagi-Do characters shine that much. Sure, we have seen a couple of fight scenes with them, but the fights don't really highlight the skill that we have seen before this season. I think it was more emotional fighting, like Tori and Sam's fight. That fight wasn't primarily to show off skill, it was meant to be emotional. I am not saying that the fight scenes were bad or anything, so don't get the idea. I am sure we will see the characters shine way more in part 2 of season 6 when that comes out, even though it feels like an eternity away. Also, keep in mind that we have literally only seen Kwon for episode 3 of season 6 and the end of episode 5, whereas we have seen all the other characters throughout the whole show. Kwon got little screen time in part 1. Like, I have even heard people saying that Kwon will win the Sekai Taikai. In my opinion, this makes no sense at all because this is the last season, so I don't really understand why the writers would make the enemy win at the last season of the show. It would be a huge disappointment. I remember seeing this poll on who would win the Sekai Taikai on YouTube, and it was like 60% voted for Kwon. Overall, he is a good character, I am not denying that, but it does not mean that he is miles ahead of the main characters like Robbie, Miguel, or Hawk. In fact, they are probably equal, which makes the Sekai Taikai the more thrilling to watch. I think what we can expect from Kwon going into part 2 is possibly getting more of a backstory with him and maybe even telling us why he is so ruthless and cocky. That's what I hope will happen with a character like Kwon, as we don't really have any idea where he comes from. Brandon H. Lee, the actor who plays Kwon, has hinted that we may see more of a backstory with Kwon in part 2 of season 6. Even Yoon had more of a backstory than Kwon, as it was stated that his family has been a part of Cobra Kai or something along those lines. Another thing I would like to see is some interactions between the Miyagi-Dos and the Korean Cobra Kai team, as they literally have not said a single word to each other up to this point in Cobra Kai. Except for Kwon flashing them an evil smile as he walked to a spot in the Sekai Taikai. This probably means that Kwon and all the other Cobras know about the rivalry with Miyagi-Do. Or I am reading into this too much and Kwon was just smiling to every dojo that was there, but I don't think so. Let me know what you guys think of the topics I have talked about with Kwon, and let me know your predictions with Kwon going into part 2 of Cobra Kai season 6. I'm always interested in what you guys have to say about all things Cobra Kai, and I do read comments a lot, so it will be great seeing some opinions in the comment section. That is about it for the video. If you guys have made it this far in the video, thanks a lot and thank you for watching this video. Make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button with the notification bell turned on to stay up to date with Cobra Kai news and to hear more of my thoughts on Cobra Kai season 6. Like this video. Goodbye.